Howdy, my name is Tate McCrell, and I will be doing my insect report on the Kretschmar cave mold beetle. Here is an image of a Kretschmar cave mold beetle. There are only two images I could find. This is one of them. You'll see the other one soon, and I'll go over this specific model in the identification slide. Uh, they belong to the Animalia kingdom, the Arthropoda phylum, the Hexapoda subphylum, and the Insecta class, as you would expect. They belong to the Coleptera order, which are beetles with hard elytra wing cases. The Staphylonoidea family, which are rove beetles who typically subsist on. They're like omnivorous, but they typically subsist on like plant detritus and fungus and other things. Although it's a large family and it's very diverse. Belongs to the Texamorops genus, and the species title is Texamorops reddelli, named after its discoverer, James Reddell. They're very small, only 2.5 to 3 millimeters in length. They don't have eyeballs. They just have like sort of like lumps. We don't know what they eat, and I'll go over that later. They've got long legs. They're reddish brown and shiny. They have short elytra, as you can see in the first image, and they've got these pubescent hairs, which you can see in this image. It was discovered in Travis County, Texas, by James R. Reddell and Dave McKenzie in 1963. We know now they live. We know they live in 4 caves now. We used to know they live in 6. 2 of those caves have been sort of eliminated from absolute knowledge that they live there. They found the first specimen about 10 meters into the cave under a rock, and in 1988 they were discovered, or they were declared to be endangered, though they may live in other caves that have not yet been surveyed. We don't know. Their elytra leave 5 abdominal tergites, or abdominal plates, exposed, as you can see in the image. They don't have metathoracic wings. They have pale pubescent hairs you can't see in this specimen. And you can't see their 11 segmented simple antennae in the specimen either, but they have 11 segments. And their eyeless ocular knobs are a significant identifier between this beetle and other similar beetles that live in the same sort of environment. Finally, their body is also speckled with small pits. We don't know what they eat, but it's speculated that they are omnivorous, eating mostly fungus, although they may also be predatory. We don't know. Their discoverer claims it is the most highly adapted insect for cave dwelling of its family in Texas, and this high degree of adaptation indicates that it eats cave fungus and other cave fuel sources. The coffin caves, specifically in Travis County, are being developed, and these residential developments have damaged cave entrances, so we can't know if there is still a Kretschmar cave mold beetle population within these caves, as we can't access them. And these human civilization influences causing cave-ins, causing raised watershed levels, and causing limited access to and from the caves may be influencing the populations of the Kretschmar cave mold beetle in these places. The Kretschmar cave mold beetle is recovery priority 1C in Texas, representing a high threat of extinction but also a high potential for recovery. But to preserve this species, we need to protect its cave habitats, which there are only really a handful of that we know, and we must be diligent in maintaining watershed levels so that groundwater doesn't begin to damage their environments. We don't know how they reproduce specifically. Its genus is very small, and its subfamily and family are both very large. The family being the largest extant family of organisms. So what we know about its relatives represents a very large group with lots of diversity, and it's hard to make it's hard to speculate as to how these beetles reproduce. It's believed that they have a complex lifestyle with eggs, larval stages, pupa, and adults, however. It's one of many highly localized Texan cave dweller bugs, including those listed below. These are karst invertebrates, and they're considered to be troglodytes, which means they live underground and they have adaptations for cave dwellings such as smaller absent eyes and long appendages. These troglobites are believed to have moved into caves during the Pleistocene epoch, where the external environment became unstable, and these creatures ventured into caves for the relative stability of the uh, environment within the caves. In order to preserve these insects, the state of Texas does recognize essentially the necessary steps, but it's failing in that human development is being allowed to creep in and damage these caves. So in the future, we have to prevent development near these caves, preserve these caves, and preserve the watershed levels of groundwater near these caves so that groundwater does not damage the insects. Here are my citations. I used the Bug Guide website to work out the taxonomy and the physical features of the bug. I used the Austin, Texas government website to learn more about conservation efforts. I used the encyclopedia.com science magazine archive to access pertinent information about the conservation efforts as well. And I used geology.com to learn more about troglobites because I didn't know all that much, and now I do. Thank you. This has been my presentation, the Kretschmar cave mold beetle.